Hey folks, and welcome to the first OctoChat show of 2022, and thank you so much for joining us. Now, this is a new concept for a new show by Octopus Deploy, by the community team here at Octopus Deploy. We're hoping to have some audience interaction once a month. We will do these shows where we'll talk about the latest Octopus news, we will talk about community news, and we'll talk about some of the industry news that's caught our eye. If you are watching, please do hit us up in the chat box. Let us know where you are. Let us know who you are. If you've got any questions, do hit us up again. We will be more than happy to try and give you a shout out and interact with you, because we do want this to be an interactive show with our audience. Now, I want to introduce ourselves first of all, because some of you may know myself and Pete, but some of you may not. So as this is the first show, let's do some introductions. So Pete, hello, how are you, and who are you for the audience?
Well, it's Friday, I don't know who I am.
Very true, very true.
I'm a brand new senior solutions architect in the community team alongside Sarah, who's my co-host for this show today. We're just in charge of educating people on how good a product Octopus Deploy is and all of the different technologies we can use with it.
Awesome. So what's your background, Pete? Are you like operations, DevOps, developer? What's your speciality subject?
Developer. I mean, judging by the fact you can see my grey hair, I've been doing this for a little while. So I was IoT development is what I've been doing for about 23, 24 years. Nice. Since before there was an IoT, in fact. So I did that for about 12 years for a company that made change machines. And then I went out on my own, and I've done everything from building monitoring systems to saving elephants in the Zambezi now. So quite a varied list of different projects.
Awesome. For those that don't know me, my name is Sarah Lean. I'm a senior solutions architect as well here at Octopus. I've been at Octopus for about 6 months now, just coming up for 6 months. So Pete and I are both new to the team, but we're very excited about what we're doing in the background, helping the community, building up all of the different things in the community aspects. And OctoChats is one of those kind of initiatives that we're running. So we definitely want to get involved with you all. If you aren't already, you'll notice on our name badges on the show, our Twitter handles. So please do follow myself and Pete. We will share interesting bits and pieces about what we're doing, and we'd love to hear from you as well, so definitely reach out to us in that sense as well. So first of all, I want to kick off with some Octopus news and talk about our roadmap, because there's some exciting things coming out on our roadmap as well. So I am reliably informed by the product team that Config as Code is coming out very soon. We're going to be shipping that hopefully this month. That's what I've been told I can share. So that's a very exciting feature that we've been working on for quite a while. So definitely look out for that if you're using our product, and potentially if you've been trialing that, say in test environments, it should be going live very soon as well. However, on our roadmap, we do have some excellent things coming very soon. I don't know when we have some of these features, but they do look pretty exciting. And I know a lot of customers have been asking about them as well. Pete, is there anything on the roadmap that's maybe caught your eye or you're interested to try out once it comes out?
I mean, config as code, that most certainly is really exciting. I mean, everything's code these days, or at least it should be. So from a repeatability point of view, this is a really exciting feature. And I know that a lot of folks have been asking for exactly this. And as always, it's always going to be a bigger project than everybody realizes on the outside. So the folks here at Octopus have been working really hard on that. And you can see there at the bottom of the screen that config as code for runbooks as well. A lot of people, I think it's a misunderstood and perhaps underappreciated part of Octopus, runbooks are. And in fact, I'll be doing a little bit of that in a webinar that I'll be doing at the beginning of next month about runbooks. So do check that out. But yeah, certainly config as code is, it's quite an exciting feature.
Awesome. Yeah, I think some of the features on roadmap are looking very exciting. I know like ServiceNow is a big tool that lots of organizations use to track tickets and incidents and change requests and stuff. So being able to link that in with what you're doing and have your deployments and your releases all kind of linked into your ticketing system is going to be a big one for a lot of customers as well. So definitely lots of exciting features and lots of exciting things coming on the journey.
You've been You've been here a little bit longer than me, Sarah. Have you had a chance to try any of this? I've not. I've been up to my eyeballs in all of the stuff, and Sarah will attest to this when you first join any new company, but certainly Octopus, there's so much breadth in the amount that we touch that you're a deer in the headlights, and so we're just like sponges absorbing everything, and it takes a while before we feel like we can actually then release the stuff that we've stored up. Sarah, have you touched any of that stuff on that roadmap? Or
I've been using config as code for deployments in some of my examples and setting that up, and that's been interesting to do that. I'm not a coder, so like doing my deployments inside the GUI inside Octopus is actually a lot easier for me at this stage than writing the code for that in the background. But certainly in terms of source control and keeping everything in that kind of code repository and having that is good. It does work. You can definitely see all the changes. Interesting when I'm playing with deployments and seeing all the changes that I'm pushing out. So you can see all my work in the background. So yeah, interesting for sure what we've got coming along the pipeline. Now, I want to give a shout out to everybody. Thank you for joining us. Please do leave a question, say hello in the chat. We do want to hear from you. So if you're tuning in, let us know what you think about it, if they've got any exciting news as well. Now, the second section of the show is community news, and we want to touch on community projects that are happening and things that have caught our eye. So again, if you have anything that you want to share with us, please do reach out to us and we can share it on our next show as well. Now, the first thing I want to share is a project by, I want to say a good friend, because I've known Michael for a good number of years. This is a project he started at the start of the year. January the 1st, I believe he started this, and it's called 90 Days of DevOps. And basically, I think Michael also changed job at the end of 2021, and he's focusing a bit more on DevOps. So he's basically been going through every day for the last 90 days or last 70 odd days and touching on various different things. So if you can see in his GitHub repository, he started off learning what is DevOps and what it is, and then started learning some programming languages and focused on Linux, networking, whole host of things he's been sharing his journey on. And each day he's been writing like a blog post and sharing some of the knowledge and resources that he's found in this topic. Like I say, he's been doing this now for about, what day is he on? He's on 76, day 76. So it's a great journey that he's been on. But what you can do with this is actually take this like GitHub repo and actually clone it yourself and follow the same kind of journey. So commit to doing 90 days of learning about DevOps and follow Michael's kind of progress and the plan that he's built out. It looks very exciting, and he's definitely been sharing, and there's lots of interest. I think this has about, is it nearly 4,000 stars on GitHub? It's definitely been a well-received resource. Pete, have you had a chance to check this out, or have you seen what Michael's been doing?
Yeah, it's awesome. I do want to know whether or not in all his days he's figured out if DevOps is a job yet, though. I think maybe it's going to take him 900 days to figure that out and argue one way or the other against that. It's funny when you speak to people about that topic. I know I've got a couple of my friends are quite, shall we say, about militant about their view on that particular subject. It's funny, but no, I mean to see, and I've seen a few people do similar things with this, and Kubernetes is another one I've seen people do, and I think actually it'd be about 900 days of Kubernetes if you tried to do that too. I mean, and what's great about this is, as Sarah said, the fact you can download this repo, you can go ahead, clone it yourself, and follow along with that same story. So all of Michael's learnings that is taken through his journey on there have all been fed back into that repo. So it's dead good.
Yeah, it's great contribution to the community as well. Now, our next item on the agenda is for yourself, Pete. So what is it you want to share with us?
Traditionally, March is MVP month. The reason why it's MVP month is because if you're an MVP or indeed a regional director for Microsoft, then we have our global summit, which sadly has been virtual rather than in person. Now, I do know a brand spanking new MVP. I've got no idea who that person is, but maybe Sarah knows her. I don't know. Congratulations, by the way, Sarah. That's
Thank
awesome.
you, Pete.
Well, I mean, it would have been a travesty if you'd have not managed to get an MVP, and I'm only annoyed that I didn't get a chance to nominate you before you were already nominated. So, yeah, no, it's fantastic. Becoming an MVP is actually quite a difficult process. It's not, an easy access, which is the reason why you're valued so highly. And it's based mainly on the community work that we do. So that could be speaking perhaps at events like this, or creating blog posts, or even just your reach on Twitter and the value that you've been able to get out of that as well. But it's a great community to be part of as well. So not just the work, but also the people that you meet as part of that community. And there's a constant growing. You realise that you think you're quite good at what you do when you join that community, and then you realise that you know nothing, because there are people in it that are just all the way up there. So it's great. And as I say, these people are fantastic. So yeah, go ahead. And as I say, both Sarah and I are MVPs. So if that's a program you're interested in joining, and you want to know what you've got to do to be able to do it, then by all means just send us a tweet and we'll be more than happy to guide you on your way there. But yeah, MVP Summit. I say I've never made it to Seattle to the in-person one, so I'm very annoyed about that. I joined just as COVID hit. So yeah, I've never managed to get all the way over to Seattle. So yeah, it's not as good. If you ask me, the virtual summit, you don't get as much out of it than it's the same as any conference, really. It's not the same, is it? No hallway track.
Yeah. Although, while we're talking about MVPs, if anyone who's listening is a Microsoft MVP, we do give free licenses away to the MVPs. So please do reach out to us. Just ping us an email at mvp@octopus.com and we can get that sorted out for you as well. So yeah, there's lots you can do there. And I have been reliably told that occasionally, if you write a blog post or a video about Octopus, there might be some swag in it for you. So,
Stickers.
Yes, indeed. So it's definitely worth claiming if that's something that you want to do as well. Now, in terms of more news, certifications is a big thing. I know I've got tons of certifications over the years, and I'm sure you're probably the same, Pete. There's a new certification coming out at the end of this month, which will be in beta, which is the AZ 720, which is a troubleshooting Microsoft Azure connectivity exam, which is definitely not easy to say. And I definitely had to read that out because there's no way I would have remembered it. But this is quite an interesting one, I think, because this is focusing on that connectivity issues, potentially. How do you troubleshoot hybrid connectivity issues? And how do you understand authentication issues and platform as a service and everything that just basically interconnects, all of that kind of networking piece as well. So it's maybe not labelled a networking one, but it certainly reads like it's potentially a networking focused exam. And yeah, this is going to be in beta at the end of the month. So definitely something to have a look at if you're in that area or even want to try and learn something more about it. Always exciting to try out new exams, always nerve-wracking to try out new exams before potentially the learning material has been written for it. But yeah, have you had a look at this exam, Pete?
Yeah, what an odd exam. I mean, just a little bit of background. I helped create the AZ220 IoT Developer Certification with Microsoft, and I'm still involved in refreshing that and making sure it's up to date. So it's interesting to see an exam like this, which I wouldn't have expected to see because it's essentially a troubleshooting exam. And I write the questions for the AZ220 exam, and I always find those the hardest to write because trying to figure out a scenario that is legitimate and real, and then some incorrect answers to that scenario can be really difficult for troubleshooting because it could be anything. And so you have to really narrow it down. So, there's going to be so many questions in there that are going to be your certificate's expired, your SAS key is wrong. You need to roll your SAS key. It's going to that's going to be a lot of that exam, but they're going to have to build up some legitimate scenarios. And I mean, if you've not taken a Microsoft exam before, these are multiple choice essentially questions. You don't get an open-ended, write a discussion in 5,000 words on this topic. Yeah. So it all has to be documented as well. So everything that's in the exam has got a link back to the documentation, and the Microsoft documentation is awesome as well, to be fair. So that exam writing process is quite prescriptive and done really well. And there are use case type questions in there, and this exam screams use case to me, where you've got, they say you've got a company that has got so many machines and this sort of a network, and the services are spread around the cloud, and now you need to make sure they all work together, and here's the requirements of that job. And then there's maybe 5 or 6 different questions that base on the information in that STEM, as it's called, of the question. Yeah. And yeah, it takes quite a lot of figuring out. Actually, those are probably the hardest part of any exam would be the use case questions, I would argue, because you've really got to think. And when you're taking an exam, it's hard to think Other than, I don't know what I'm doing. Waste of time. I can't remember any of it. It's all gone.
Definitely. Although I think there's always something said about the studying and the journey of actually going on an exam, whether you pass it, whether you fail it, whether you put it on your CV and share it with anybody else. It's a great way of solidifying your knowledge, maybe learning some new things and just testing that knowledge as well. So I always encourage people to have a go with certifications. Whether you think they're worth it or not, you definitely do learn and you get into a good mindset of how to learn as well for them. So always worth giving them a try. Do let us know in the comments if you are hoping to try for this exam or if there's an exam you're studying for at the moment. We'd love to hear what you're all up to as well. Now, the next bit of news is over to you, Pete. What is it you've found for us this week?
This past 2 or 3 weeks, I've been delving into AWS. Historically, I've been in Azure for most of the time, but actually spending some time in AWS has been enlightening. It's interesting to see the differences, and certainly I wish I could export services a bit easier. I love that in Azure. You can just export an ARM template and off you go. You try doing that in AWS, or at least from my experience level of AWS, which seems to be, if you want to export this, you need a fully formed template of it already exported, and we'll export it for you. It's like,
interesting.
No sense whatsoever. So yeah. But anyway, so this came up the AWS Dev Day, and actually I've been doing a bit of Kubernetes. And if you scroll down, the very last session in that list of sessions there is EKS, an Amazon Guard Duty, which actually I'm not entirely sure what Amazon Guard Duty is. So yeah, these sorts of events, and right at the top of the screen that I've made Sarah scroll past, unfortunately, it's aimed at developers, IT pros, and solution architects. There's 2 solution architects on this particular show, so we are some of that target audience for that. It didn't actually seem as developer focused as it, the first sort of word is on that list. It's quite broad, but those sessions are often really interesting because as a developer, historically, exposing yourself to stuff that's perhaps not usually within your remit can be quite enlightening. So yeah, I'll definitely be checking that day out. It should be quite good.
Yep, I've signed up for it as well because I think it's great to have these free days to sit there and have a chance to learn and fill in some of the blanks or get a bit of context as well around maybe what you've been reading about or trying and see what other people are doing with it. So yeah, great to take advantage of these free days and put them in your diary and have a learning day. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Context is the thing, as you say there. That's these sorts of sessions will put a little story around that service that you've been looking at as a little box in a square, rather than some idea about what people are actually using it for and where it goes. It can give you a lot of perspective. It's good.
Yeah, indeed. And focusing on free events and different days, Global Azure 2022 is coming up in May. So it's a 3-day event, so from the 5th to the 7th of May. And again, this is another great free day, actually organised by the community. I think this is probably 7th, 8th year maybe. They're quite far on in their journey about Global Azure. This used to be an in-person event that lots of communities all over the world had. I know I ran an event in Glasgow a few years ago, and we all got together on a Saturday and had some fun times learning about Azure and various different events. Obviously, with the way things are, the Global Azure event is focusing mostly on virtual, but also those communities that want to do in-person events, they can run an event and be part of this day. And we're just all going to be focusing, hopefully, on learning Azure for those 3 days over in May. There is a call for speakers, so if you don't have a local community that's maybe running an in-person event or even a virtual event, you can join. The main team, the Global Azure team, are running an event where you can submit your session, run your session, and they will advertise it and help drive those numbers towards your show as well. So great to try if you've never done any public speaking. I know there's tons of people in the background that will help you if you want to start doing this. But another great day to keep an eye out, put it in the diaries and have a look at. I think it's, again, these free days are always great for learning and meeting new people. Pete, have you taken part in Global Azure before?
Bit of both. So yeah, I think probably the last one before COVID, I ran along with Gosha Borcheska and Tobias, her partner, and a couple of other MVPs. I wasn't an MVP at that point, actually, when we ran this. I think it was a couple of months later, but I spoke at it as well. Well, I ran a workshop, a Raspberry Pi workshop, actually, that was really good. It was interesting. What's really interesting about these events is obviously it's all Azure focused, but you're on your own journey learning Azure, and then you go to an event like this and you listen to people speak about it. And what's beautiful about the in-person one, perhaps more than the virtual one, is that you get to speak to other people that are on their own journeys. And you not only do you learn that you've not learned very much, but you pick up so much from these people. And again, it's about context, isn't it? And they'll be using stuff in a different way, or have you heard of this, or X, Y, and Z. And yeah, these sessions, and again, free and organised by the community for the community. So yeah, really good. It's well worth checking it out. And there'll definitely be one in your area, no matter where you are. So and now it's virtual, so it definitely will be. Are there any in-person ones? Is it all online, this one?
I think there's some communities are running some in-person events or a hybrid event where they're trying to stream it. I know some of the Microsoft reactors are hoping to have some kind of in-person event there at those locations, I guess, depending on COVID restrictions and what's happening. So yeah, I think definitely check out the website because there's more information about what's happening in your local area, because there may be an event in terms of that. But if not, like Pete said, it's all virtual, so you can definitely grab some extra stuff there as well. Sticking to the events, but this time I think this is an in-person one, Pete. Do you want to tell us?
Yeah, very exciting. So yeah, I mean, finally NBC is back and in person, which is great. So I mean, I think one of the first ones will be down in London that we're all potentially going to. I'm not sure if you're coming to that one, Sarah. I can't remember if you're.
No, I've got a family holiday clashing with it, unfortunately.
yeah, no, absolutely fine. So yeah, I know a few of us folks from Octopus are going down to NDC London, but I've actually been accepted as a speaker for NDC Melbourne, which is awesome. Now I've spoken and volunteered at NDC conferences before, but only I've volunteered in person, but only spoken virtually. So it's going to be fantastic to go and speak at an in-person NDC conference, and I'm going to make my first one the other side of the world, as you do. You know, that's a sensible idea. So I'm going to be talking about IoT actually rather than DevOps, but Derek and I are going to be doing a workshop there in the first days. I forget if it's Monday or Tuesday. I think it's Monday in Melbourne. So, and I believe there's a chance there may be a workshop at NDC London. I'm not entirely sure. And also not entirely sure if anyone knows that yet. But either way, there may be. There may be. You heard it here first. So yeah, this event is completely unique. Obviously, this isn't a free event. This is a specific sort of paid event. It's quite expensive to get in, and you'll probably find a lot of the people that do go there are going to be going with their companies or sponsored by their companies. So people aren't just going to walk in off the street and pay the money to get in. As a result of that, though, they're able to fund the speakers, and they have some absolutely amazing speakers there from all over the world, and they fly us in to do that. So I see Derek talking away in the chat there to say it's a 2-day workshop, which I didn't know until he put that in there. Probably I did know that, but I've forgotten it since. But hey, you know, it's not till 24th of June, or in fact 20th of June for the 2 days. So I've got some time to think about that. And yes, Derek has confirmed we are at NDC London and running an Azure and DevOps and Octopus workshop there. So, hey, look, see, this is a news show and you're having actual real life news. But we need one of those, you know, breaking story tickers across the bottom there to say, you know, Derek's on the chat and he's just confirmed.
Excellent.
So, yeah, it's good. It's good. Have you spoken at NDC, Sarah?
No, I haven't. It's not been a conference I've had the pleasure of. And by the time I've plucked up the courage to actually apply, COVID has put a spanner on all the works. So yeah, definitely one on the bucket list at some point. But I think NDC usually have several conferences around the world, don't they? So fingers crossed I'll maybe get to one sooner rather than later. So I think that's our community news in terms of what we wanted to share this week. There's some industry news that I picked out, Pete, and I wanted to just chat about that and see what your thoughts are. So I think we actually talked about this in one of our one-to-one calls. I'm due a new mobile phone upgrade, and I was looking at the Samsung Galaxy, the S22 model, or S22 Plus, or S22 Ultra, depending on which one is in the price range. But I noticed a few people have shared that they're not loving the phone, unfortunately. There's a few people have returned their S22 Ultra. What's your thoughts, Pete? Are you a like an Android person, an iPhone person? What's your preference?
This is my Galaxy Note
Nice.
20 Ultra. And yeah, it's a really interesting piece of news that phone is. Actually, you're quite right. People are returning it. There's loads of issues with the screen, apart from anything. There's flickering and dead pixels. There's problems charging the phone as well. But on the positive side and on the interesting side, it comes with one of these. Beep. Which is the first time the S22 has come with one, because normally that would be residing inside the Note series. And what the S22 with the pen means is that this is the last Galaxy Note, which is sad to me. But really, that pen is the reason why. But there's some other downsides as well. I don't think you could put an SD card in it for extra storage, which I love about this, because it's a 500 gigabyte phone all on its own. Then you can put another 500 gig or 1 terabyte SD card in there, and now you've got a huge amount of storage, which historically has been great because I don't need to worry about backing everything up immediately because my phone's full.
Yeah.
But also, I've played quite a lot of VR, and in the past I've used the phone for VR, and those games are huge. And not so much of a problem these days, but storage on phones, everything takes up more storage all the time, and not being able to expand that, don't like it. Don't like it.
I know. I think they removed that in the last Samsung Galaxy, the S21, I think.
Yeah.
And I was a bit disappointed at that, because I, again, buy a big SD card, put it in and store all my photos, my videos. Anybody that's watched like me do any videos over the last few years, it's been filmed on my phone. All those videos go in there, and I film them all at like 4K. So that takes up a lot of space. So, yeah, bit disappointed that we've taken away expandable storage, but I think that's the way the industry's kind of going, because you can't do that with like iPhones and stuff. So I think they're just following the market trend. But yeah,
we're in a funny state with that, because one of the reasonings is that everything's stored in the cloud, but not everybody has got an unlimited 4 or 5G data contract. So yes, it's all stored in the cloud, but only if you're at home. And if you're in a community role like we are, Sarah, and we're perhaps on the road quite a lot, then we're not necessarily always in front of a decent Wi-Fi connection. So yeah, if you're filming stuff 4K on your phone, leaving that to upload, yeah, all right, I'll come back next year and it'll be about done by then. So yeah, I just don't like it. You know, I walked into town the other day after buying this phone quite recently, and when I go for a walk, I always put my headphones on, and I grab my headphones, and there's no 3.5-inch jack on phones anymore, is there? And my old phone was quite old. This is quite new. And yeah, I had to walk in with these on, which was not particularly pleasant. I don't particularly like walking around with big headphones on.
I know.
Yeah.
Interesting. For sure. Now, I don't know if you're a TikTok person. I know you've got small children, so maybe they're into TikTok. I'm not into TikTok, but I did notice that they were actually changing their policy. So there used to be a 1-minute limit on TikTok videos, but now they seem to be allowing you to upload 10-minute videos, which is that starting to rival kind of YouTube, or trying to get into that market? Or I don't know. I don't know if I would sit there and watch a 10-minute TikTok video. I tend to watch YouTube on my laptop or my TV. So interesting news. Are you a TikTok man, Pete? Do you like to do the dances and stuff?
No. But you knew the answer to that question before you asked it, Sarah. No, I've sort of refrained from TikTok entirely. Everything I ever see on TikTok, other than the odd clips that somebody sends me because they aren't what I think they are, is just people dancing around. And it's I mean, yeah, I like funny videos and cat videos and stuff, but I wouldn't spend most of my life doing it. And that kind of feels to me like TikTok. And also, I don't know, obviously, historically, there's been issues with the should we say, the backing of TikTok and where it's owned. So I've never done it. And you mentioned my children, they're 9 and 6. And so I definitely don't want them on TikTok.
Not old enough yet.
Yeah, I've seen some of those dancing videos and they're not doing that. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It's interesting to see how all of these social platforms are changing. And I mean, on Instagram, you can record quite long videos, but they're not quite long videos at all, are they? They're short videos that they've stitched together, and it always seems odd because there's a gap between them when you're listening to them. And people are walking around parks and stuff doing that, and it's fine, and it makes a lot of sense. But I feel like YouTube's better. If you're going to do a longer video, put it on YouTube, and then someone can sit at a decent device and watch it. There's no Instagram app on my TV to be able to watch long videos. So yeah, sorry. I can see the point, but yeah, it's not for me.
I also think we're maybe not the target audience. I think we're maybe leaning towards the older end of that spectrum, unfortunately, Pete.
Trying to say, how rude.
Awesome.
I think maybe I look like it. I don't agree with that about you at all. So me, yeah, I'd agree with that.
Awesome, folks. Well, we've come to the end of the show. So thank you, Pete, for being my co-host on this very first OctoChats 2022 show. Really do appreciate it. And also to everybody that's tuned in, thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back in a month's time. So next show is going to be the 22nd of April. So do hit that like button, that subscribe button, that notification button. You will be told when our next video goes live. We'd love to see you there. So please do join us. And yeah, reach out if there's any questions between now and then, and have a good weekend, everybody. See you soon.
Thanks all. Bye.